Hello, 7th graders. It is Monday, December 10th, 2018. I'm Mr. Hoven and a little under the weather today, so I came in quick to make the videos and the sub plans, and hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. So what are we doing today? Well, we're going to get right back into Mission US. We're going to finish up part 1 for those of you that haven't finished it. We're going to finish up, we're going to do part 2. Hopefully you'll be able to finish that, and if anything, we'll work on it tomorrow, which will be Tuesday in class. So let me go ahead and just screen share first and go over kind of a couple of things that I'm expecting, and then you're going to have the rest of the class to work. Remember, unless for some reason you don't have a Chromebook, you are not to be, you're working on your own. You're not working in pairs with us because it just helps with your game experience. So unless there's some real, extraneous reason that you don't have a Chromebook, you should be working on your own with all of this. So let me go ahead and screen share right now. And here we go. So remember, we're going to the Mission US. You can get through that by going through Schoology. So if you go to Schoology right here, I got to go down and find a 7th grade class. There's 7th grade. All right, one of my 7th grade classes. So you go into Schoology. Again, this should be review for everyone. American Independence, Mission US, that pink folder. And when you click right here, it'll open you up to this. Remember, we're going for Crown or Colony is the game we're playing right now. The rest of them, we'll be getting to that later in 7th grade and in 8th grade. So just remember, for Crown or Colony, that's the one we are playing. You remember, you just need to log in and you'll be able to good to go. So before we get jumping into it, I just want to cover, make sure we go over what we need to be doing. So Mission US, Part 1, New in Town. Remember, these questions should be answered, and these people should be identified and notes should be made next to them. This is the question sheet for Part 1. If you need an extra copy, it's up on the front table, and please keep track of that. So in this, basically, you're answering the questions as you go along. Questions 1 and 2 can be answered from the prologue. So if those of you that are still stuck in the prologue, that's a little bit further back than they should be, but you can still answer those. Please make sure you're answering complete sentences. And remember, sometimes throughout this game, that your game experience, well, almost all the time, will be different than others. So your answers may be different than people right next to you. We'll go over these questions tomorrow, and you may not experience some of these things. Now, if you don't experience them, make sure you just write in, did not experience, did not meet these people, whatever. However, don't use that as an excuse not to do the work or not to answer the questions, because most of these people you will meet, most of these questions you can answer. You just got to make sure you're being a conscientious learner when we're playing this game. So just remember that. So that's Part 1. If you finish Part 1, you're going to go right into Part 2, which is for Crown or Colony, Part 2, A Death in Boston. What is the difference between a patriot and loyalist, so on and so forth, and we'll be looking at that more and more. Again, new experiences. Take your time. Look at the Mission US checklist. Know what your task is. What do you have to complete today? What is the expectations? What do you need to do? So make sure you go back to the checklist, which has your login information on the other side. Check that, and then grab this from the front table and start working on Part 2. Okay, so let me just read through these top 10 things. Remember, take your time when you're playing. Take your time. You should not be done in 5 minutes. This should take most of the class period, pretty much all the rest of the class period, to finish Part 1 if you haven't done so, and do Part 2. Make sure you visit all places on the map you see throughout the game. Click on the yellow words. Collect them. They help. They change your game. They make it better, make it more engaging. When you're in any rooms, make sure you scroll your mouse all over the room to click on any highlighted areas or anything that comes up with an eye or an open door. Go in them. See what's going on. Take your time. Can't emphasize that enough. During conversations with different characters, keep the conversation going. Don't just shut them out and move on. They may give you valuable advice. Make sure you're taking the time to listen to them. Remember that your game will most likely be different than other groups. That's okay. Complete all tasks during each part of the game. If anytime you get stuck, ask for help. And finally, take your time, because you might miss things if you go too quickly. So remember, for today's class, you're finishing up Part 1. Which all of you should have. There's extra copies on the front table if you need it. This is done on Schoology, or done through Schoology on Mission US from your computers. Then, once you finish this, you'll start working on Part 2. You'll start working on Part 2. All right? So that's kind of what we've got going on right now. So just keep that in mind. That's what we've got going today. So let me just come back here quickly. Alrighty, so that's what you're working on today. Part 1. If you finish Part 1, you should all finish Part 1. Get to Part 2. All the stuff that you need is up on the front table, and they're identified and they're labeled. For the substitute, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And for the students, hopefully see you tomorrow. Have a good one.